All right, hello class. Good afternoon. This is your professor, Dr. Jace, and I'm just going to record a very quick video for you all just to kind of clear up some of the confusion with this assignment for the critical essay. I hope everybody is about to enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving, by the way. This video will hopefully be under 10 minutes. I'm going to make a suggestion as far as how to keep this assignment fairly simple. This was an assignment that I kind of workshopped with the other professor who is teaching 7305, but I'm going to probably make some more stern modifications to it in order to simplify it the next time I teach it, which I believe will be in the fall of 2019. So when you're looking at these directions, these guidelines, if you want to approach this the easiest way possible, then I suggest you follow this advice that is bolded on page 2. For the essay, you might focus on one article and take a look at the method used and its pros and cons. This is probably the best way to get through this assignment fairly quickly. And so if you were to choose that route, then I'm going to tell you where to go in the directions or in the guidelines in order to just, in order to just get a feel for what you would have to include in the assignment and how to get it done and get something turned in, delivered in a timely fashion. And it's not something that you would really need to rack your brain out over. So, if you were to take this advice on page 2, for the essay, you might want to focus on one article and take a close look at the method used and its pros and cons. For one thing, the best thing to do if you're going to take this route is to find an empirical essay or an empirical article that's been peer-reviewed through some avenue, through some of the online databases that we offer at the University of Missouri. And if you're having a hard time finding something, then you are welcome to reach out to me via email, alstonj@missouri.edu. So if you take this route, then really you can look at the examples and kind of start here. So this is page 7. If you take this route of just reviewing one particular essay, then you can start here. You would have a title of some sort. Don't use this one per se, but use one that fits the article that you're reviewing or critiquing. So you'd have something there. You list the title of your article here, the article that you are critiquing. If there are not keywords that are already supplied in the article, then you've read it, so you will have some keywords that you can assign to it. And they can be things like librarians, LIS education, statistics, whatever. And good practice is to find 4 or 5 keywords. So then you can introduce me to the method, introduce me to the problem that is being tackled within this research. And you should find that probably fairly early on. So you've got an introduction to the problem and the method. That will probably precede a literature review if you're actually doing an empirical study of some sort. So you'll probably have an introduction that is followed by a literature review. And you would probably pull information from both the introduction and the literature review sections from your article in order to get this part here shored up. We'll list a problem statement or identify a problem or a problem statement of some sort. Again, this is going to require you to read the article and understand what is in the article, but if they followed an experimental design of some sort, then there is probably a problem or question that they are trying to solve. So you've got a research question. If you were doing quantitative research, then with only a few exceptions, if you've got something that's quantitative research, then there's probably going to be some form of research question that's being answered. If you got a qualitative study, then you won't necessarily have an explicit research question that's being answered, but you can take sort of a backwards approach with a qualitative study. So if you got a qualitative study instead of a quantitative study, then where it says questions, instead of having an outright question that's being answered through the research, what you're going to have instead is you're going to have probably a concept that's being explored within the qualitative research. And in the question area, you can really get away with describing what that concept or what the scope of the issue is that's being explored in the qualitative research, and that's what you can have there. A thesis statement can appear in quantitative or qualitative research, and the thesis statement is again something that you would model here. So for this example, Van Epps' thesis might be librarians need to know and, quote, understand statistical research to stay current in the field. So you would have some sort of thesis statement or some sort of argument that you believe that the researcher is making in that case. There may or may not also be a statement of significance, but if you are doing some sort of quantitative study, then there is probably some sort of statement of significance either within the method section, within the methodology section, or it may appear in the discussion area of the article. You would have any definitions of terms that are being used in the research. A lot of times you will see definitions also included either in the intro, in the literature review, or in the methods and methodology. So try to find that, and you may not have definitions if everything that's being spoken about in your research is a common term. But if the authors are identifying and defining any concepts, then that is good information to put there. Okay? Purpose or aims and objectives, that should also either be in your introduction or in your methods or methodology. Scope and limitations, that can be in the methods. It can also be in the discussion, but be mindful of what limitations may be out there, including small sample size as well as other things. Steps to the essay. So with this, for steps to the essay, you would really just, that can be as simple a lot of times as listing what the subheadings are within the article and what is counted within the various subheadings. And then from there, you really just have the typical empirical rundown. You've got a literature review, method, body, results, and you can include discussion within the results or within the analysis, and then conclusion. So theoretically, if you were doing empirical research, then right here where you see this bold on page 7, you should probably have information that you can populate in each of these fields, okay? And if you are having trouble, again, finding an article that you can answer all these fields for, then contact me and we'll work through it, okay? So I hope that clears a few things up. And, I am going to be fairly lenient on this assignment. Again, and I think I've stated this before, but this is my first time teaching this class for Mizzou. It's a little different from how I taught it at South Carolina because of different learning objectives. And so I am going to make some interpretations and modifications to the assignment based on how you all perform on it. But because of that, you're not going to be graded particularly harshly. All right, everyone. I'm checking emails even through the holiday. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.